I want to go back real quick to the neurological adaptation piece, because if you were that newbie jumping off the couch, to your point, Stephen, at the beginning, you're going to see some really cool stuff happen really quickly. I love working with new clients because they come in and like in 2 weeks' time, they're like, whoa, this is 10-pound
really
dumbbell.
Good.
That 10-pound dumbbell felt like 100 pounds, 2 weeks ago, and now it's, it's super light. Yeah, it's physiology. This is what happens when we apply the stuff. But over that 2-month period, your body's also neurologically adapting, right? Your body's adapting to the exercise that you're doing. And so if you've been on a program that is, again, primarily, you were mentioning this about the cardio and how much cardio people put in. If it's primarily been dependent on cardio, any neurological adaptation after about 2 months can be gone, right? Unless you are pushing yourself, progressing in an intensity perspective to a very, very high rate. And when I say high rate, I mean you've started to add things in that really challenge your muscular system as well as the fuel systems that you're using in order to get through that exercise. And so
but even then, that you get to a point where you don't have a return.
Right. So here's this, like, people go, well, I'll just do HIIT training. That's exactly what we're talking about not doing. Don't do that, because that is not what you want to. That's not what you want in the long term. That's what you want to use very rarely in order to uptick the caloric expenditure, or maybe even break through, a little bit of a plateau if you're trying to lose those last couple extra pounds or whatever. And you want to do it in, again, be more efficient with your time. You could do less of it and get a pretty big impact out of it. This is what sort of drove a little bit of this conversation today. We had the weather cleared up here like the other day, and we got it was gorgeous outside. We pay high dollars to live here in California, and we demand that we get our good weather on occasion.
Sunny February, yeah.
Oh, it's fucking great.
I want 65 degrees.
Yep.
Got on the bicycles and, threw on the zoot suit and whatever, and we're like, let's go riding, and we wound up on one of the park trails. And I knew there was going to be traffic out there because it was gorgeous. So I knew there'd be a lot of people out there, just period. Dogs and families and whatever else. And goddamn, the running. Right. So the running always gets me. And just maybe something you could speak to, Stephen, since you do so much of it. The suffering that I see people doing out on the trail and the running that they're doing. And look, more power to you. If that's what makes you feel good and that's what you want to do, go ahead. But I'm watching people, and I always, in the back of my mind, I'm like, why are you doing that?
That looks like it hurts.
Yes, exactly.
It has to hurt.
Yeah. This with just the cadence, the efficiency is like one leg is longer than the other one, and it's like it's
awful.
That looks like it sucks.
I mean, it's like people that spend time around, biomechanics or whatever, you're looking at some of the stuff that is happening out there, you're just going, holy God. Like I said, the body is an amazing adaptive machine. The fact that it will keep going under some of these circumstances is crazy to me, but I'm watching people doing it and I'm going, how long have you been doing this for? Like, did you just start this at the beginning of the year and, you're just continuing down your path here with very, sort of poor base to get going with? And now what I'm seeing is a result of 2 months, again, we're going back to the new year. I'm seeing this 2 months of what's happened to you. So maybe you've lost 10 pounds and you feel great. And that's great. Weight loss is good. Fat loss is good, right? From a risk factor perspective. But what is the long-term result going to be of what you're doing? And do you have alternatives? So this is what I'm bringing in. Like, I'm sort of making fun of the running mechanics that we're seeing out there, but it's bringing variety to your program. Right. So if you're 2 months into your program and you're doing the same things you were doing 2 months ago, don't expect to see a lot of change. You're neuromuscularly adapting to those types of to whatever the movements, to whatever the activity is. And it may be time to increase your activity a little bit or increase the intensity of that activity a little bit. And you need to make sure, going back to the intake piece on the nutritional support side, you are giving your body enough calories to support that new activity. So if you're trying to continue to get a good fitness result as well as a weight loss result here, you might need to eat more than you were eating at the beginning of this whole thing.
God forbid.
Yeah, which is another mind-blowing thing for a lot of people to kind of wrap their head around. But in the end, as we're circling this all the way back, it really comes down to the awareness piece again. How many calories should I be eating? What am I currently doing? how am I organizing myself around this? And there's some simple things you can do. One, calculate your TDEE. It's simple. We're going to give you a formula. At the end of this, you can go there. You can see it. We'll have the chart there. You can just follow along, basically fill in the blanks, right? And we'll actually give you a demonstration video on how to calculate it if it's not making sense for all you math wizards out there, right? We'll put a video in there. The second thing is to understand how many calories you're currently intaking, right? So let's start tracking. There's lots of ways to do that. Again, there's a ton of apps out there. We use MyFitnessPal a lot because it's something we're familiar with, and we find it super user friendly, and it connects with our custom app that we have for our clients and our members here. So we can see what they're doing in their own MyFitnessPal. It integrates. So we like that one. Use whatever you want, but track your calories and your macros and find out where you currently are.
At least to get a baseline.
Get a baseline. Yeah, get it and reevaluate where your baseline is. And then figure out where do I need to be? Like if I'm, where's my maintenance and where am I currently? If I'm above and I'm overeating, then hey, maybe I need to start cutting back. What's a reasonable amount of calories to cut, or in terms of trying to achieve that deficit? 300. It's probably pretty manageable for most people. 300 calories over the course of a day, or per day is probably a good place to start. You could probably go as many as 500.
It's about max.
Yeah, that's. I'm not going to say it's aggressive. I'm going to say, why don't you start with 300 and see what happens there, and you can always pull back a little bit more. I would much prefer that for my clients than going too deep into that deficit and going, oh shit, we overdid it, and have some of these unwanted impacts start to show up.
The energy levels sinking, and it's just unsustainable.
Yeah,
which could lead to binging later.
Right. So if we have to move it backwards a little bit, then that's a way to do it. Think 300 to 500 calories beyond where you currently are, and we want to go below maintenance, no more than about 300 to 500 calories below maintenance ultimately. But if you're eating 1,000 calories over your current maintenance, right? Don't try and cut out 1,300 to 1,500 calories right now. Going back to the word sustainable, very unsustainable, and you're going to be an asshole. So don't do that either. Just start to cut it back a little bit, and you should start to see the impacts of that fairly quickly, right? But keeping in mind that your body is going to adapt. So when you get metabolically adapt, so when you get into that deficit, staying there for a long period of time is not a good idea. Let's say somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks is a good place to maybe hang out in there. But understand that you may not see, go back to the word linear, you may not see continued weight loss for 4 to 6 weeks, right? Maybe a little bit of weight loss, then it kind of sits for a little bit, and then it goes down a little bit, and then it actually may go up a little bit, and then it goes back down a little bit. So that's not a linear thing either.
Yeah, for a lot of people, what we're doing, especially if you've been yo-yo dieting for an extended period of time, a lot of what we're doing initially is just rehabbing your metabolism. Because unfortunately you've been moving a little bit in the wrong direction, or maybe just misguided in your efforts, earnest as they may be. So we're just trying to, rehabilitate, get things back to functioning. Yeah, get back to homeostasis, function a little bit more properly.